PM Express.
Thank you for having me on your program.
And when I walked in, I was telling you, as a young kid, I've always looked forward to interviewing you, and so grateful to host us in your very fantastic house, and the hospitality has been great.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to have you here in our humble abode.
Indeed, it's humble indeed, and thank you for hosting us. Let's start with what has been reported today. Are you under arrest?
I don't know the legal definition. Maybe yes, but maybe not. I'm on bail. So the background is that I think on the 13th or 14th of May, I received a letter from the Special Prosecutor to appear before him. I should report at 10 a.m. on the 16th of May, which I did. The letter said that they were investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM. I was a little bit disturbed.
And ICIM is Inter-Ministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining.
Yes. I thought that they were going to talk about how to stop the IMCIM and all these things. But anyway, so I went there and waited at the lobby. When my lawyer was in, we were ushered to the 7th floor where the office of the Special Prosecutor was. I was ushered into a room, given a seat, and next to me, on my right, were my lawyers, and opposite me was the senior, or the principal investigator, I think that was the title, and some officers from that office. So as soon as I sat down, the chief investigator walked over to me, put his left hand on my shoulder and said, "You are under arrest." I said, "Why am I under arrest? What are my charges?" "Well, no specific charges, but you are investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM, that is the committee I chaired." And he asked whether I was ready to answer some questions. I said, "Well, I'll do my best to answer the questions." So I was asked a lot of questions. Took about 2 hours, or a little bit over 2 hours. And after that, I was told that I had to be bailed before I'll be released. I was not offered the opportunity of self-recognizance bail. So a friend of mine was at the lobby, so he came up and bailed me, and I left. And I was told that if the need arose, I'll be invited back to the office. So that's what happened. And of course, some officers from the OSPs went to see my friend's place where he was staying to make sure that if I absconded, they will be able to get hold of my friends to produce me before the court. Yeah. So this is what happened.
What was the sum, the bail sum, the conditions attached to it?
I was told 2 million cedis or so, if I'm not mistaken.
2 million cedis. Did they also send a team to your house?
No, they did not come to my house.
But they verified the residential address of your friend who had bailed you out. Okay. And the questions that they asked you, what did it relate to?
Relate to everything that we did at the IMCIM, but I'm not sure whether I can go over those questions, because this is a prosecutor, they're investigating, and I don't feel comfortable, going over the questions. So if you will permit me, but it was a broad-based question, a lot of questions on many topics, and I answered as best as I could, and so that was it. Okay.
They had invited you, so this is you honoring the invitation to go to the Special Prosecutor's office that day with your lawyers?
Yes.
Okay, but in the letter that was inviting you, has it specified that you're going to be assisting, or you're going to be a person of interest?
Person of interest. Something like that.
Okay. Around the work that related to the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. Yes. Today, we had heard and reported that it had to do with some expenditure around the IMCI's work. More than 300 million cedis that had been spent on drones, etc. Did anything like that come up in these questions?
I didn't hear the figure of 300 million, but a lot of questions about drones and other things. As I said, I'm not very comfortable going over because they're investigating and they took notes, they did recording, so what took place. So the important thing is that I was invited there, I was questioned, and I answered the questions as best as I could, but that was it.
Have you been asked to surrender your passports? Have they told you can travel? You have to check with them if you do?
No. There was nothing like that.
Okay. So you're free to move as and when. If you want to travel, you could do it. Normally when these bills happen, they always have this condition that you have to check with them
I've
first.
not been given any conditions, other conditions.
Okay.
Apart from the fact that if I'm needed, I'll be called back to the office, yes.
You, of course, the chairman of the Interministerial Committee. Looking back to the work that you did, that has come up a lot, the controversy surrounding it. What would be your own assessment of that work?
We did a brilliant work. Let me explain to you, because, when we started, the Ghana Small Scale Miners Association was blamed. Members were blamed for all the ills in the field, the environmental pollution, degradation, and so on. So Ghanaians were certainly annoyed with the Ghana Small Scale Miners Association. So we engaged with them, and there were about 3,400 or so of them that we engaged with. And they said they had challenges. For example, when they applied for licenses, it took them 3, 4, sometimes up to 10 years before they got their licenses. Sometimes they didn't get them at all. So when their license delayed, then they will go to the field and mine. 2, they did not know anything about sustainable mining. And so we had to take them through a lot of things. We developed a software which we call Galamstop that will aid in the registration of licenses. So, and the software was so good that if a miner started the process at Minerals Commission, it will trigger the process in the other regulatory agencies like EPA, Water Resources Commission, and Forestry Commission, so that within 3 months they should get their licenses if everything went well. And we took about 4,000 of them to Takwa to study sustainable mining. And so after all these things, we're able to vet them, make sure that they registered their companies, and everything went very well. So within about 6 to 9 months, the period that they were asked not to work, we're able to register some of them, license them, thousands of them, and they went back to work. And they were working very well. Nobody was harassing them because they were doing things very well. But then the trouble started when we had big companies, who were sponsored by big people who were not members of the Small Scale Miners Association, and they were in the field doing whatever they want, and that was a problem. And also when the Forestry Commission started giving out licenses for people to enter forest reserves, 47 forest reserves were entered and people were mining. You see, a forestry entry permit does not permit you to mine. Just go there and see, start prospecting, So we had these companies, and that is how we started getting into trouble when the forests were entered into the rivers. People were working on the water bodies. Even there, we worked with the Small Scale Miners Association. They had a task force. We were able to displace all the people working in the water bodies, those who were polluting the water bodies. So when we came there, we took away all the equipment and carried them away. We were not burning them on the water bodies. So each set of equipment will cost about 25 to 30,000 cedis. So if we took everything away, it was a lot of money that they lost. So, but then if you go and burn the things, the chamfans sitting on the floating platforms, you are not done anything, because the next day they can bring other machines. But if you take the floating passports themselves away, then you'll be successful. This is what we did. And so it was very, very successful. But unknown to me, there were people behind big companies and, started agitating. I didn't know. So that was where we started having problems. And when we noticed that there were a lot of people, also engaged, who were not small-scale miners, but who had influence and, they were engaged in this thing, it was a problem. So that happened to, I was ordered by the Chief of Staff to write a report on the fight against illegal mining and suggest a way forward. And that was why I wrote that report and sent it to the Chief of Staff on the 19th of March 2021. The report wasn't meant for public consumption at all. It was meant for the President's attention. When you read it, you could have called me or those I mentioned in the report, and then we'll discuss it internally and find a way of solving this problem. But I had to be brutally honest with the President, because, people would travel on buses to Kumasi, and when they get to Engineer and the water is dirty, they'll call you, Frimpong-Boateng, look, you are not doing anything, look at the brim is dirty, this. So, and other areas. But the good thing we did was that when we were there, people found it difficult to work in the forest, because we'll come after you.
And this is something that we'll interrogate a bit more. But I need to ask you, considering that you assess your work to be successful.
Yes.
Surprised now that the officer at the OSP puts his hand on your shoulder and says you're under arrest. Did that surprise you? What was your initial reaction when you heard that?
When I heard that, I said, well, so Frimpong-Boateng is the cause of all the wars in this country. That I should be arrested. So maybe arresting me will solve all the problems that we are encountering now in all areas, in health, education, mining, whatever, law enforcement. If arresting Frimpong-Boateng will bring an end to all these things, then so be it. But I was surprised.
The surprise was because you assessed that you've been successful, or
yes,
because you didn't anticipate that this was going to be.
Of course, I didn't anticipate that. And when I told some areas of the party, so this is a normal thing, they have invited you, just go and listen to what they are saying.
So before you went, you spoke to elders of the MPP?
Yes.
Who in particular?
I won't mention names here.
And their word to you was, just show up?
Just show up. This is a normal invitation from Special Prosecutor, just show up.
But why did you feel the need to talk to elders in the party?
No, we were at a meeting, and discussing this issue, and I told them, I've been invited to see the Special Prosecutor. I showed them the letter. I said, this is a normal thing, just go.
Was this Hackman Uso Ajiman?
Why do you mention names like that? I'm not going to mention any name.
And this was a party meeting of elders, I believe.
Yeah, there are a lot of elders in the party. Why don't dump on somebody who is maybe enjoying his dinner somewhere and you mention his name? It's not fair. When
a couple of years back, I know both the CID and the Special Prosecutor all said they were investigating the work of the Interministerial Committee. Were you invited by the CID at all in the last couple of years around the work of the Interministerial Committee at all as part of the investigation?
No, we had serious challenges. People engage in certain things, and I wrote to the CID to investigate some people and so on. But
so you wrote to them to investigate some people?
Yeah.
Why did you feel the need to do so?
Because what happened was not good for Ghana.
Were these people at your committee, Interministerial Committee?
No, not in our committee. People who
generally that
you've
come to know were involved in illegal mining.
Yes.
Were these people invited and investigated? Do you know?
I don't know, but as far as I know, nothing substantial happened to them.
let's talk about the work you did, because you did the assessment. The work that you did was also significantly docked with some, controversies. The missing excavators, for example, was one. The drones that the committee bought, at the last count that I checked, it possibly could be around 200 drones that were bought. Is that accurate?
I don't know. See, let's not confuse issues. The committee bought some drones. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources also bought some drones. So don't put them all together. Yes. So yes, we bought drones for Operation Vanguard, for the districts, and so every now and then drones will released to Operation Vanguard. Yes.
The Special Prosecutor is looking into all this. Do you find it legitimate that at least the missing excavators is probed and some other expenditures?
Yes, sure. Yes, it's legitimate. I mean, this is money is belonging to the people, and so we should all account for our stewardship. Whatever we are, if I've done anything wrong, I stand to go before the court and answer these questions, and this should apply to everyone. And those who are in charge now should also know that at some point they will be at the other end.
When you say that, who exactly or what exactly are you referring to?
No, what I'm general. I say, if we are on one side of the table, at another point in time, we may be at the other end and also receiving questions. So whatever we are doing, we should be clear that we are doing everything in the interest of Ghana. And that is my point. If we do everything in the interest of this country without any selfish motives, then this country will improve.
You think there's a selfish motive behind your arrest and what is happening?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it that if we all did things, that has been my motto all along. Since I came from Germany, planned the National Cardiothoracic Center at the age of 39, bought this center without one city's contribution from the government. I'm talking about the block, and done many things, and all in the interest of this country. Never thought about myself. If I were a thief, I would have been one of the very rich people in this country. So what I'm saying is that if we all thought about Ghana, had the interest of this country at heart, we will not be where we are now.
When I asked you about what is happening now, you said, you submitted yourself to the process. You believe it's legitimate for them, the prosecutor, to look into those things that happened under your tenure, but you believe others must also be held accountable. Is that a fair recollection of that?
I'm saying that if not others, as we go along in life in this country, others who have the power now or who have the influence now should know that at some point they should also they will be held accountable for what they are doing.
Do you feel you're being victimized?
I think so.
Why do you think so?
What have I done wrong in this country? If 0.001% of people behave like what I've done, this country will not be the way it is. I mean, look, I bought a whole hospital, trained people, Ghanaians, heart surgeons, trained people from Nigeria, Ethiopia, changed Kolebu. After Gojisberg and Nkrumah, Frimpong-Boateng was the person who added structures and systems to Kolebu, with internally generated funds, not money from the government. I changed the way Ghana Red Cross functioned. As chairman of the PRIC, I did a lot for this country. And as minister, I introduced a lot of things. If I pursue them, we have made a lot of change in this country. The things that I initiated when I was minister, most of them have been abandoned. So what I'm saying is that I'm not perfect, but in all my life, throughout my life, I have always thought about Ghana, the poor people. I know where I'm coming from. If there were people in this country, or there was someone in life who did not have any chance to succeed, I would be one of them. But by God's grace, I'm here, and I know that I came to this world with nothing, and I'll leave with nothing. So whilst we are here, let's do God's work, to care for the last, the least, and the lost, the poor people here. Let's work for them, And when people get power and, they think they can do whatever they like, I think it's very sad. We should really think about the state of this country, the poverty that we are going through, and then make sure that we care for poor people.
Recently, talking about your tenure as a chair of the interministerial committee, it has been said, and we've talked about the missing excavators and others, that because you are ultimately the head of the institution, you take ultimate responsibility for what has happened, which is exactly why state institutions must do their job in interrogating and holding you accountable. You've rightly said that this is a legitimate exercise to look into them. I want to reconcile that with your view that you've been victimized. Because if they're doing legitimate work, can it be victimization?
No, you see, I mean, you are sued by somebody, you receive the rate or the rate of summons one day, and 2 days later the special prosecutor also sends an invitation to you, and then, you know, if you look at the sequence of things, you'll be a fool not to think that they are not related. I don't want to go into those things, you know, but in the end, let's think about what we all have done to move this nation forward with our own, not with state resources or not with the people's money, but what we have conceptualized and brought into being to move Ghana forward, you know. And then we'll see who loves this country and who doesn't love this country.
Let me put to you a few of the things that have been said since the publication and even before then. You've been accused of also being complicit in the illegal mining trade whilst you were the boss. I'm pretty sure you've had that accusation against you. Were you ever complicit in that?
Listen, this was a subject of investigation by SHRAG for 4 years. So from 2019 to March this year, myself and my son were under investigations, and the report is there. We haven't done anything wrong, and so that is neither here nor there. Missing excavators, everybody knows that I had not taken the excavator, but the figure was put out there by a journalist. You know, there was an interview and he said, oh, when Amawus was leaving, he left 1,200 excavators. So somebody brought out that figure, and then they target on you, you know. And it is not true.
So how many excavators were missing then?
Let me explain to you. See, when we started the work, Operation Vanguard was in charge of impounding the excavators and pulling them to a central area. But then when we go to the bush, the excavators are in the bush, they are not, you know, in town. They immobilize the excavators by removing the control board. And so maybe a day or a night, they'll be able to remove about 15, 20 excavators, the control boards, and report that they have removed the control boards. A few of them, they may be able to transport to either the police station or the disassembly where they are. But then when you leave, the owners of the excavators will bring other control boards, put them in, and then take them away. So at some point, we were told that about 750 excavators had been impounded. So we took a team around.
750 excavators, yes, were told.
They were told. It might have been true that over the period they immobilized 750 of them. But when we went around, visited the mining areas, the disassemblies, and the police stations, we saw a little over just about 200 excavators that we saw. And these were all then carted to Accra. But because those days we did not have any low loader to carry the excavators, because that's crucial when you want to transport the excavators. Yeah, so that's what happened.
So 200 excavators is what you carted to Accra?
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of them are there now. If you go to Identity...
So are you saying none of those excavators got missing?
Some got missing.
How many?
I don't know, but we found out that some people were selling excavators, and it's also part of the report. I don't want to go into the details now. If you read the report, I don't know, my report
to the chief of staff.
Yes. If you get a copy, you can see those people I mentioned as having taken excavators, sold them, and so on.
You've mentioned that yourself and your son have been on investigations by Shraj.
Yes.
And you said this had concluded in March this year.
I can give you a copy of that. After this interview, I'll give you a copy of the report.
What did the report say about you and your son?
We have not done anything wrong. So, like I said, I'll give you a copy. And so maybe you can read through it and report when you have the time. But now take it from me that we had been investigated for 4 years.
You appeared before Shraj many times? With your son?
Yes. And they went to all the places that people were saying, and they did not see any wrongdoing there.
So for 4 years we investigated, you and your son together?
Yes.
Because of the allegation that you were both complicit in illegal mining.
Yes.
And just concluded in March this year.
Yes.
And you were given a copy, and
I have a copy, I'll give it to you.
And Shraj cleared you explicitly.
Yes.
But then we also saw a video that was recorded. I'm pretty sure you saw this, in which a few years back, in the heat of the Galamsey fight, secretly recorded and released, and I think you may have even responded to it, which painted a picture of complicity. I'm pretty sure you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. But you know what happened?
Tell me.
Somebody did something wrong, and I sacked him. So he says, "Oh, Professor, I want to discuss something with you." So he comes to my office with another person, also a party person, and they started talking, asking questions, and saying things. Most of them I didn't know anything about, and because they had planned, oh, didn't we give you this? You were involved in this. You told us to go and do this, and they were recording. It was a secret recording. So at some point I said, "Look, did you come here to annoy me or to so please walk out?" That's what happened. But
this is the famous Party Nihinska video.
Pardon me?
Party Nihinska. So that's how the famous Party Nihinska video.
Exactly. So, and they will ask a question, you answer, and then they'll bring something which is strenuous. You don't know what they are trying to drive at, but then they will try to implicate you. Say, "Oh, you sent us to do this. We gave money to you," and that kind of thing. And they were recording it, just to create a very bad impression. So at some point, when I had the feeling that they were just trying to annoy me, I said, "Please walk out of my office and just go away." This is how the recording came to be.
And in that particular recording, was this something that the Shraj reviewed as part of its investigations?
I don't know.
Did they ask you questions about that in the last 4 years as they probed this?
I don't remember. But they might, yeah.
Recently, the Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission had said that whilst you were the chair, you assumed yourself powers you do not have, including giving licenses to people to go and mine.
It's not true. How? How can we give licenses?
Did you ever give authority
to
any
the committee had the power to do that, because it wasn't me. See, the committee was made up of representatives from Minerals Commission, EPA, Water Resources Commission, Forestry Commission, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Interior, Defense, 10 ministries. So we formed the committee, and we were supposed to regularize the small-scale mining. So at some point, when we're taking the miners through all the process, they are vetted and they are given the permission or the license to go and mine sustainably. So that's what the committee did. And so if the Minerals Commission chair is saying that, then he doesn't know what he's talking about.
But the Minerals Commission is the sole legislative body with the power to give licenses.
If they could do their work well, the committee would not have been created. So the Minerals Commission was part of the committee. So if they say we didn't have the power, then he doesn't have the power to do that. It wasn't me. It was a committee.
But that's an ad hoc committee. It's an interministerial committee.
Yes. So we were supposed to do that regularize things, and then back off.
But not to give licenses for people to go mine.
You don't. Licenses is what kind of licenses? See, permit so that they could mine sustainably. That's why we took them through to help them get their licenses, which are issued by Minerals Commission, because we don't. To get the mining license, you need license from Minerals Commission separately, EPA, Water Resources Commission, Forestry Commission, and the committee does not interfere in those things. When those things come together, and then we take the miners through the sustainable mining process at Takwa University, and the other things, then they are given the permit to go to their site and mine sustainably, because the Minerals Commission license is given by them and not by the committee. So we put everything together to make sure that they can mine sustainably.
But the Minerals Commission chair makes a point that legally, that wasn't part of your mandate. Well, your mandate was to check illegal mining, and theirs legally, by law, was to permit and license.
So I don't want to go into that. I mean, just playing with words, because I didn't create the thing. It wasn't Frimpong-Boateng who was issuing the thing. We didn't issue mining licenses or EPA licenses and so on. This was done by. That is why we created the software. It's because the Minerals Commission failed. The Inspectorate Division failed completely. Wasn't working because they were to ensure safety at the mine site. So why were people mining and destroying the environment? Because it wasn't working, and that is why the committee was created. So we help ourselves strengthen these regulatory bodies, and then when that is done, the committee will be dissolved and they can carry on with their work.
So you disagree with the view that he makes there. The report that you authored, that you've stated that the Chief of Staff asked you to, do you concede that much of that report isn't factual?
What is factual?
All of it?
Certainly.
All of that report is factual?
Yes.
Because we've heard from both the Attorney General and the Presidency, who both maintain that report, a lot of that report, isn't anchored on fact. It is actually personal vendetta. Use that document as
I don't think the Presidency will say that.
But it has been suggested that you use an opportunity to settle personal scores with people.
No, that is wrong.
Okay.
I have to be honest, because if you are doing something that important and some people who are influential and supposed to help are doing otherwise, you have to say the truth. I mean, I could have written a lame report, Mr. President, everything is working fine and so on. But things are worse now, even now, and getting worse by the day. So I have to be very honest with the President and stay. Look, I have written my report. If the Attorney General or anybody wants to classify it as being hearsay or this, it's up to them. I'm not saying that the report was not. So what is factual? I mean, you can even take the Constitution. What is factual in Ghana? Look at where we are now. What is factual? So I write a report, and what I think is an honest report to you. It's up to you. You see, information is what the importance of information is what you do with it when you get information. So if I've given a report and you say it's not factual, it's been data, and you want to ignore it, fine. I'm okay with that.
There's a lot more to talk about, because I know you're very passionate about this subject and many other things. And many of the people that you had mentioned in that report had issued statements or had gone public to deny the accusations that you've leveled against them. And of course, you've started the process with the Special Prosecutor, which we now been clarifying that this happened a couple of weeks back, and you've been granted bail. I'm going to take a quick break. When I return, the issues that many of these individuals you mentioned had said never happened. The accusations leveled against them never happened. But these are your colleague MPP folks, friends of yours even. And the suggestion is that, have you falling out with your own party? Have you falling out with the president, who obviously nominated you and confirmed you as minister, to the point where maybe you want to burn the bridge on your way out? You want to stay with us? I'll get his view on that. Professor Frimpong-Boateng is a former environment minister and chair of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, and he's spending time with us on PM Express. After this, we'll get his thoughts on the specific allegations and individuals that he's named in there. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. And our guest tonight in this special edition of the show is Professor Frimpong-Boateng. Professor Frimpong-Boateng is a former environment minister. He also chaired the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. And tonight we are live on the JoyNews channel. We are live on Joy 99.7 FM, live across our many social media pages, YouTube, Facebook. You can also find us live on myjoyonline.com. Prof, during the conversation, the first part, you referenced the Shraj investigation over the last 4 years, and you promised to give us a copy of that document. You have, you produced it, and this is exactly what it is. This is a 117-page report. I guess we can take this copy.
We can take this copy.
Okay, and so we will be perusing this document in greater detail and telling you what we know, and whether indeed it corroborates what you've told us, that it exonerates you and your son after the 4-year investigations. In the report that you submitted to the Chief of Staff, you mentioned many names, accused of many things. One of them is Gabi Asoro-Chodako. He has sued you for defamation. Have you been served?
Oh yes, I've been served.
Okay, and what's your posture towards that suit?
The what? Your
posture towards that suit.
Well, I don't want to discuss it. It's a case for the lawyers in the courts.
Okay. Have you spoken to him at all since?
Yes.
This came out?
Yes.
He called you or you called him?
No, it was a meeting with some elders. The two of us were there.
Purposely called because of your report?
No, because of... You see, I don't want to go into this report. It's because it's not my report. I wrote it, but it's for the president.
So let's call the president's report that you drafted.
No, that I wrote. That I presented to him.
That you presented to him.
I'm not saying that the president wrote it, but I mean, I wrote it and presented it. After that, it's no longer my report.
Yes.
I authored it, but yes.
In this meeting when you met Gabi, what happened?
No, let's not go into those things. This is more or less private meeting, and we discuss things of mutual interest. So let's.
Was it cordial?
Pardon me?
Was it cordial? Was that?
Well, it was cordial, yes, of course.
In spite of the things you said about him in this report?
I haven't said anything about it.
No, you said he called you and he was possibly trying to intervene.
See, I don't want to go into that report because I wrote it, I have not published it. I don't want to discuss it. It is meant for the president, and I'm saying that if someone is saying that this is hearsay and my personal opinion and this vendetta and so on, if we ignore this report and we don't act according to it, and take lessons from it, there's no way that one can fight.
He says you defamed him. You disagree?
I don't want to go into it.
I'm just asking you separately. He's taking a separate action. He says you defamed him.
I've not defamed him.
You haven't defamed him?
No.
How is that? Because he says what you said about him.
As I said, let's not go into it. I mean, others will stray into areas which we are not supposed to.
So, but you hold the view strongly that you haven't defamed Gabi Asoro-Chodako.
Yes. Okay. And he says I've defamed him. That's for the court, up to the court to decide. Yeah. So.
You also said.
I appreciate what he's saying, but. Yeah.
But sorry, you were going to finish.
But it's up to the courts to determine.
You also alleged that even the president's house in Chebi, the frontage of it, the garden was affected. The Chebi cheese.
I don't want to discuss it.
But it's a matter of fact. It's now, the president has commented on it. So it's out there in the public.
Of the president commenting on it.
Well, there was a statement that was issued by the presidency on the back of your report and said, well, in essence, this is something that was grounded, which was what I referred to earlier, paraphrasing
I'm saying that it happened.
Yeah. But was the president's house, the guarding, damaged by Galamsey?
You don't get me. We were called by the caretaker that somebody was doing illegal mining in a field close to the garden. And so the president was not in town. So we should come there and rectify things. That's about 3-4 years ago. So we took an excavator and a bulldozer, leveled the place, and vegetated the place.
You were there yourself? You supervised
No,
yourself?
I wasn't there myself, but there was a team. A team went there.
And they verified that the garden was affected?
Yes, and the person who called us is there, is alive. Go find out from him whether what you are saying is not true or not. And I've mentioned the name. I mentioned the name of that report. So I don't want to go into that report. What I'm saying is that it happened. Listen, if we vegetated that field, if we had planted cocoa, it would have been yielding fruits by now, after 3-4 years. So it's not that you go there and you find pits, freshly dug pits and gullies and so on. This happened 4 years ago. The place was cleared, vegetated. And so what I'm saying is that it happened. So that's what I say for now.
I asked that because the traditional authorities sent journalists there to verify the claim. And according to the traditional authorities, there's no evidence that the president's garden was affected by illegal mining.
I don't want to argue with them. If they say it wasn't affected, I'm saying that we went there, and did what we were supposed to do. And I don't know why we should even argue about this. It's not that we did this to slight or somebody, but we were concerned that in a field near the president's house, somebody was doing something illegal.
Okay. It wasn't near the president's house, not his garden.
No, I mean a garden. I don't know what you mean. So it's not that there's a house walled, there's a garden inside, and no, I'm not talking about that kind of thing.
So this is an area close to the president's house in Chibi.
I don't know what you mean by close, but what I'm saying is that the field was there, and the caretaker said they had encroached on a little bit of the garden, so not in the house. So if you journalists, were you the one who went there?
No, I didn't go there, but we had a reporter who went there as well.
Who went to a house. What were you expecting to see? Gullies and mountains and things like that. 4 years. Leveled the place, vegetated the place. As I said, if I planted cocoa or even palm, we would have been harvesting fruits after 4 years. You see, what I'm trying to say is that we did not do that because we wanted to try somebody, but we wanted to solve a situation. There was a big problem we had to solve. And the person was arrested by the police and taken to the police station. So you can go and check. Go to do all the police records.
The person whose
who was doing
activities affected the area.
Yes. So let's not go into that. I don't want to argue with Nananum and Penfo Chebi.
They asked you to come and show them what happened, and they ordered you to come.
Please, let's not go there.
I'm pretty sure you heard that.
No, I didn't hear that. Nobody sent any message to me to come and do what.
Well, they were very upset with the delegation.
I'm also very upset now. I'm very upset. I thought I was doing something good for the president and for Chebi, and now I'm portrayed as somebody, an evil person whose activities were designed to slight somebody or to ridicule people. No, it was a very serious matter. We made enemies for ourselves in this fight against Galamsey, and we had problems. And so I will not sit down for anybody to intimidate me. We've chosen the wrong person to do that. We were doing the right thing. People were insulting us all the time, and in all these things, I don't know how many people could have done that job the way we did it, or the way I did it. And look at what is happening now. If things had improved now, but things are worse. We have virtually no forest reserve in this country. All the rivers are polluted, and people are doing that with impunity. The rivers, you still see these floating platforms there with the dredging and so on. When we were there You dare not do that. You know, we had boats that will cut all the floating platforms and all the equipment away. And we had a project for that. You know, we had just started the foundry and machine tool project in atomic energy. The idea was that we'll carry all this metal to that place, melt the metal, and upcycle the thing. And maybe with the foundry, create, let's say, if you are doing road construction, the drainage covers of drains and EVP&T things. These are all important things. These are things that we could have manufactured from the metal that we were carrying from the mine, the rivers. So there was a plan in place. And if people will not study it and demonize Frimpong-Boateng, demonize me. How many people have done for this country what I've done? Tell me. You know, from a very young age, only think about Ghana. If I've committed some error, fine, I admit it. But not when people are pursuing their greed and you point it out and you are demonized. That annoys me sometimes. And I think I will not allow myself to be intimidated by anybody.
You feel they're deliberately trying to intimidate you?
Of course, I think so.
And what's some of the elements that make you convinced
I don't want
that
to go
that's
into
what's
that.
happening?
You know, because if you mention it, I don't know how people process information, but I know how I process my information. And I'm speaking to somebody, I can go into that person's mind and see how the person is thinking.
But why they intimidate you? You're no longer a minister. You are a private citizen now. So why would they intimidate you?
I don't know.
Is it to shut you up?
Pardon me?
Is it to shut you up?
But I'm not talking. You know, I don't like talking. I don't like talking. You know, they say, oh, keep quiet. I'm keeping quiet. And
they've asked you to keep quiet?
Yes, people say, the party people say, oh, Jacom, what's that party? No, they say that kind of thing. You know, I'm quiet. But every day, Frimpong-Boateng, it's my taking to court, this, people are saying that, you know, on radio, saying all sorts of things, you know. But I keep quiet because I have a lot of respect for authority, you know. The president knows that.
Is he your friend?
But the president, nobody is the president's friend. I mean, he's supposed to do his work. I don't think anybody can claim that he's a friend to the president. No. If you do that, you'll be wrong.
So how would you describe your relationship with him?
Cordial and, how do you put it, business-like, you know, business-like. And he knows me very well. And I went in there to serve him and Ghana, to make Ghana a better place so that the glory will be his. The job will be mine.
Is this so cordial, that relationship?
No, I don't meet him. I mean, I'm out. So, I mean, you see, you have to understand what politics is. The president calls you to be a minister. You have to know that he can also dismiss you at any time. And therefore, you go with that mind, that anytime you can be, you know, and I'm not the person who will fight for a position. You know, I've got a lot of things to do myself, even right now. Too many things to do for this country. And these things are not distracting me from doing what I want to do for Ghana. And I'll continue to do that until my last breath. And
back to your business relationship with the president. Now, do you have a cordial relationship with him or not?
Look, when I left office, the president formed the presidential committee for vaccine production.
Yes.
And I was the chairperson.
Yes.
And we did a lot of work, good work, and the work of the committee has come to an end. I've exited, and I'm there, you know. So if there's a problem or something that he wants me to do over a period, and I feel like doing it, I'm going to do it.
Have you spoken to him since you left?
No, don't bring that. You see, the president is nobody's friend. We can't just say you are going to speak to him. No.
If you meet him today?
What?
If you meet the president today?
Yes.
What do you think will happen?
Good morning, Mr. President. Yeah, I have to greet him.
And you think he'll respond?
Of course. Why not?
He's not upset with you, do you think?
No, I don't think so. He's not that petty.
Okay.
No.
You know, recently, you rightly said you were the chairman of the National Vaccine Institute.
No, the chairman. I was the chairman of the Presidential Committee for Vaccine Development and Production.
Vaccine Development Production. You remember
we were supposed to test up that vaccine institute. That was part of our mandate.
And you did it.
We've done it.
And recently that was inaugurated.
Yes.
The president, your name was conspicuously missing from the list of people who play the part.
No, I had exited already.
Yeah.
As chairman of the committee.
Okay. And so that's why your name wasn't there.
That's why.
But were you called, invited to the ceremony at all?
No.
Okay. You didn't feel that was in the
No, I didn't feel that. No, I wasn't offended because I was no longer the chairperson, and I had written to the president that my work had come to an end, and I would have to exit.
Do you have any regrets chairing the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining?
Well, not quite, but it was very challenging, and if I had anticipated, you see, I did not anticipate the things that I experienced. The involvement of party people and government appointees. When I say party people, it's not only MP people, NDC people.
You mentioned it in your report.
I mentioned the report.
I think you said either in the central Western region.
Yeah,
you found that NDC were more involved.
No. So I don't want to discuss the report.
This is your report and it's public now.
No, it's not.
You're not running away from your own report, are you?
No. The thing that is public was leaked. I didn't leak the thing.
That's true, but it's out there already.
Well, fine, but I don't want to go into the details and mention things. But what I'm trying to say is that I did not get the protection that I needed
from
whoever,
But there must be people who you expected to protect you whilst you did your job.
To carry out this very difficult job.
Is it the president that you expected protection from that you didn't get?
The thing is that what is happening now? See, the forests are being degraded at a very fast rate. The rivers are gone. You see, a river has certain functions. One, habitat for fish and other aquatic creatures, for drinking purposes, for washing, for irrigation, and for transportation. Now, these rivers that we have polluted cannot perform any of these functions. You can't ride a boat on it because it's silted, debris, tree trunks, and trees like that. You can't drink it, you can't use it for irrigation, nothing. So the water there is good for nothing. So we don't have any rivers. Most of them are polluted. Apart from the Volta and Afram river, all the others are polluted to some degree. From white water, red water, black water, Tano, Ankobra, Pra, Ofin, Brim, and all these rivers. So if things were better after my exit, or when people criticize this report and they say it's hearsay, it's nothing, and you put something in place which is better to fight the illegalities and the destruction, then one can give credence to what people are saying. So what I'm saying is that this is a very big problem, and I'm saying again that if you throw this report into the dustbin and you don't take any lessons from them, there's no way that we can make any headway in the fight against
illegality. Let me ask you, when did you become aware of these challenges and involvement of some of your own colleagues allegedly in the Illegal Mining Act? And why did you only tackle it the way you did after you've exited?
I had not exited. It was... No. See, the thing is, at every point, people should not think that this is the only report that we wrote. On many occasions, I made a presentation in cabinet meeting. On 2 or 3 occasions, I made presentations at cabinet retreat. On 2 occasions, I made a council of state and said similar things.
Mention names?
Yes.
You mentioned names in cabinet too?
Yes. Listen, and then after the elections, I heard that the committee had been dissolved. So I wrote a letter to the Chief of Staff in February, I think on the 5th of February, that I've heard that the committee has been dissolved. So I want to hand over the things to her office and so on. And so when I catch you, say, yeah, you know. So, and then some time later, end of February or so, she made reference to the letter that I wrote initially and said, I should write a report on the activities of the IMCIM and also suggest a way forward for the president's consideration in the fight against illegal mining. That is why I wrote this particular report. But that was not the only report that I wrote. Several of them in the course of the period. So people should not think, I mean, this is... So
this is the first report that had come to light, is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
But you've alerted the authorities, even your colleagues in cabinet, to this and mentioned names to them.
Yes.
And what happened when you did this? Was there a reaction? Was there an attempt to fix the problem and address the people who were involved?
Where, you know, for example, when the issue of invasion of the forest reserve came up, there was a cabinet directive that there should be no mining in forest reserve, but it still went on. It still went on with some of the big companies that are still there. You know, they are still there right now in the forest. And people should not assume that they are not there. There are people in the forest reserves mining and destroying the people on the water bodies. There are people doing illegal things. Yeah.
You are a human being like all of us. You bleed when I catch you. How are your family? How are they reacting to everything that has happened in the last few weeks and months?
Well, it's tough, but not even my family. The close family don't understand. I mean, we've gone through a lot, you know, from Germany, coming here to set up the cardio center, the problems that we went, you know, horrible things. No, if I've written 2 books, I'll give you copies. You go and read. Then you understand. The one is deep down my heart, the history of cardiothoracic surgery in Ghana. The other one is Taming a Monster. You know, if you read it, this is child play. What is happening here? So what I'm saying is that for my close family, it's tough, but we can endure it because they understand. But friends outside, even this evening, some people say, "Oh, my heart! No, I was frightened." You know, a lot of people, not only in Ghana, but calling from America, from Germany, and so on, worried that I've been arrested, and some of them have fallen sick. Somebody in America nearly landed in the emergency room.
When he heard that you may have been arrested.
Yes. So for those here, my close family, they understand. You know, they have been conditioned. They are not that allergic to some of these things, but close friends who are far away, who are, you know, hold you dear, when they hear these things, it's hard on them, and that's what worries me. Not my immediate family; they are tough.
Now that the OSP has started this, and they say you've been arrested, what do you think about the prospect of you being prosecuted and possibly being convicted? Does that worry you? Does that give you sleepless nights at all?
I don't. It doesn't worry me at all. But if prosecuting Frimpong-Boateng and all these things will solve the problems in this country, look at all the bad things that have gone on. Look at all the corruption that is going on everywhere. And if this is the only thing that bothers whoever wants to investigate, fine. I'm saying that life is not static. At some point, somebody will be at the opposite end, also receiving the same treatment. You know, so is it the most important thing to worry any investigator? I'm not saying that if I've done something wrong, I should be let loose. No. But looking at what I've done, you know, for this country, as I say, I'm not an angel, and I know there are many wrong things that are going on now. If it is the only thing that worries Ghanaians and those in authority, when I'm saying authority, I'm not talking about the Jubilee House, but those who have the power to do things. People who don't have any political power or something, but they are very powerful. Just how they want to do it, so be it. Let them go ahead.
There's a real possibility that you will be prosecuted?
They're fine.
It's not daunting at all?
No. Why?
You're not scared?
No, I'm not scared. Why should I be scared?
The possibility that you may actually be convicted?
Yes. What kind of possibility? I don't see it. But if that is how, look, in this life, even the Son of God, Jesus Christ, the sinless one, was convicted and killed. So if bad people want to kill you, they know what to do to kill you. This is what I want to say. You know, if people who have the power to do things really want to ditch you, they will know how to do it, because it's happened even to the sinless one.
Are you still a member of the MPP?
Which one?
The MPP.
I'm still a member, of course. I'm not resigned from it. Yes.
Yet. Do you plan to?
No, I'm not saying yes.
I thought I had yet. Okay. No, so you haven't resigned?
No.
You have no plan to resign?
No.
You're still staunch and contributing member of the party?
Yes.
But this is the governing party.
But the state of the party now is not it's different from what I knew it to be.
What's the state of the party?
They should know it, you know.
You tell me. I mean, you're an insider.
I'm not happy with the state of the party.
Why?
Because things are not going well.
In what aspects?
Look at the state of everything, you know. Economy, look at everything. From industries, banking, agriculture, education, and mining, pollution, environment, and so on. Look at all these things. And this party is supposed to be the one carrying the burden, forming the government and carrying the burden. But if we still have these problems, then we cannot say that we are happy with the state of the party or even the government.
I mean, many of your colleagues in the party who are in positions of authority have argued circumstances. You're just victim of the party and the government is a victim of circumstances.
No. That is why.
Victim of COVID. Victim of.
No. You can organize in such a way that you will not always be a victim. You know, that is why people are there to solve complex problems. You know, but if people who can solve complex problems are being demonized, and you leave incompetent people, no, I'm not saying incompetent, but people who are not designed to solve problems, to be around, claiming to be the champions of whatever, then we'll be in this state all the time.
People who can solve problems like yourself?
I think I'm designed to solve complex problems.
But you didn't solve the Galamsey problem.
I did, except that people who were supposed to know better did not do what they were supposed to do. It's happening now. Why are we destroying the forest reserves? Why are people still dredging on the water bodies? You know, you see these floating things and machines on the water bodies working, and there seems to be nothing that we can do about them. But this is what I'm saying.
So here you are, a committed member of the MPP, your party is in power, and you believe you have been intimidated. You are an outsider looking in, or you are an insider who has been been shunned by your colleagues.
The party is not always homogeneous. There can also be fights in the family.
So this is one of those fights in the family?
One of those fights, yeah.
Okay. Who wins this fight, by the way? You?
Nobody wins.
That's interesting.
No. Nobody wins. Who is a winner here?
But why would? But that is the question that I really want to have. Why would anybody fight you? What is there to gain?
Do you provide the answer? I don't know.
In fight, but it is your characterization what is happening. That you've been intimidated. There's a fight, etc. I'm asking, why would anybody do that to you?
Yeah, maybe you are a journalist. You talk to people and you can probably provide answers for this. I ask myself, what is happening? What have I done wrong? Just so I shouldn't have written the report.
I mean, I need to ask you, what do you say to your colleagues who may accuse you of Professor Frimpong-Boateng is simply bitter? I mean, he says he wasn't given another post, another ministerial position.
Oh goodness!
And maybe he's
just. I
just
don't need a post.
He's just bitter and going on and taking
they
on
know
people
that
and calling names.
I'm not bitter at all. Look, when I was minister, I did many things from my own initiative. If you go to Minister of Environment, no, you are not giving money to do anything, and using my linkages and connections and so on, I will get projects for the ministry and for the government. And the president is aware of some of these things. Even in the vaccine committee, many things that we did because I knew certain people who could help us. And I'm still doing things for this country now.
Such as?
Running 2 hospitals, trying to build a school, doing this and so on, training people, research going on. So I don't have to be a minister to survive. There are people who need that, who need that position to survive and to thrive and to do many things. But I didn't have to be a minister to build a house or do any of these things. I had done all these things. My children were old, nothing, thinking about my grandchildren, maybe great-grandchildren in the future. So I don't need a government position to live in this country. That everybody should be clear about that, and they know it.
And it's interesting you say that. You mentioned your grandchildren and all. I'm pretty sure a lot of them have called you today. I mean, Granddad, how are you? Are you fine? And what do you tell them? Do you comfort them?
No,
are you the comforter or they comfort you?
I comfort them. They say, "Are you okay?" I say, "I'm fine." Are you sure you're okay? I hear you have been arrested. I say, "Oh, no, I'm not being arrested. I'm home, enjoying my cocoa."
You drink cocoa? Hausa
this evening I had Hausa cocoa.
Hausa cocoa.
That's my supper.
Locally made or you made at home or you bought
made
it?
At home, yeah.
The best one is the one you buy by the roadside.
I don't know about that. I like doing things at home.
So everything else on your cocoa is at home and everything else. Yes. Okay. And let me ask you this, and I know you are frank. Let's talk about solutions.
Yes.
Do you believe the president is really committed to ending illegal mining?
Maybe committed, but choosing the wrong methods.
Okay.
I'm not saying, he says it. If he says he's committed, I cannot disprove it. But then if we look at the methods that are being, employed, people are doing whatever they like, then it's not likely that this illegal mining will stop.
So what method?
And I'm not expecting this thing to improve.
Why?
Because honestly, even in the best of times, when the economy was good, people were doing illegal mining. Okay? And there's somewhere in the Ashanti region whose wealth is based on mining.
In a time of economic crisis?
No. Even the best of times. That is so. Economic crisis. Next year will be election year. People need money to campaign and so on. I don't expect that this thing will stop anytime soon. At least not until after a new government. I don't know what the strategy that the new government will employ. But in the best of times, people dependent upon this for their livelihood and other things. And now we are in election year,
Election season is here.
Election season, people need money. And so, and the way the economy is, what are you going to do farming to get money, or what are you going to do,
I mean, there's a good friend of yours, Kukubako Jr.
Yes.
And you mentioned his name in his report, and he's been very unhappy.
Well, let's not go there, please.
I know, but have you spoken to him? He's a good friend.
Yes. Oh, I spoke to him.
Post the report coming public.
Yes.
You had a friendly conversation?
Yes, we discussed things and you said we'll end things there. So
you've resolved it?
We have resolved our differences.
It's okay. So now you're on good terms now again?
No, I've always been.
Because he was really not unhappy with you and he issued a statement.
Yes. Do you think, when I was writing the post, you think I was certain everybody was happy with me? No, I'm not here for a popularity contest or happiness contest. My job is to give the president the true situation on the ground. And I read the report, and you can do whatever you like with it. You can say it's my personal opinion, hearsay, whatever it is. And the Attorney General can also confirm it, but that's not my problem. But what I'm saying is that if you ignore the things that I wrote, you'll find it very difficult to fight.
If you knew that the report would be leaked and it become public, would you still have written and said all the things you said and named the people you named, including your good friend Kukubako in that report?
Listen to me.
Yeah.
This report, the original manuscript was about 120 pages. But I had to remove a lot of things and so on and just give a flavor of what was happening.
So this is a watered down version?
Yes.
I shudder to think what was in the real version.
Well, I can still pull it out.
You want to give me a copy?
No. What I'm saying is that I didn't work on it, but if I want to expand it and work on it, it will show maybe more pictures, pictures of people doing this, doing that, and so on.
So you have more evidence?
Of course.
Of people in your government involved in this?
Yes.
But why did you give the chief of staff a watered down version?
No, it's not a watered down version. This is concise. This is a concise version.
But you have evidence that you haven't given to the chief of staff who ordered you to produce a report.
No, see.
In effect, the president has been denied access to additional evidence.
No. The idea, as I said, this report was not meant for public consumption. I was expecting that, having presented it, I'll be called, and then others will be called, and we'll discuss it. And if people doubt what I'm saying, then you expand it, and
You sent it in 2021.
Yeah, March, 19th March, yes.
2021. It was this year that it came out. So let's say 2 years had passed. You've never been called once on it?
No. Since
you handed it over to the chief of staff?
No.
Did he acknowledge receipt?
Yes.
They did?
No, there was no written acknowledgement, but she received it because I sent it
personally?
Personally, yeah.
Handed it to her?
Yes.
Okay. And was it formally, because there's a process of submitting such reports?
I don't remember, 2 years, I don't remember what, but you see...
Because in the statement that was issued from the Jubilee House, it was said that the transmittal letter wasn't attached to this, and so this was almost informally done.
Fine. Whether it's informal or not, it's a report. Do whatever I like with it. I've done my job.
Do you have any regrets with the service and the sacrifices that you've made to this country?
No, I don't have regrets. And let me repeat this sentence or this statement, that people say that Ghana is not a country worth dying for. But
what's your answer to that?
My answer is that it is precisely for that reason that we have to die for Ghana. Because if we want to die for an entity that we expect something good in return, that's no sacrifice. So, for example, I take lessons from my belief. What really did Jesus gain by coming down here to die for us? Why? It was very sacrificial. So if you are expecting something in return for something you do for an entity, no, that's no sacrifice. So I think that I've done my job, and at the end of it all, when I'm no longer there, at the end of my life, I'll say, yes, I did my job. I tried to make Ghana a better place. I tried, with all my mistakes. But I don't think that with all these mistakes, you can find many people who have gone through and done what I've done in this country. This is what I want to say.
Will you continue to do it?
I'm doing it all the same. Every day.
Till your last breath.
Building things, working in a hospital, operating, teaching people, doing many things. Collaborating with my friends outside in areas of research and so on.
Professor Frimpong-Boateng, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for the hospitality. I should come back for some of the cocoa.
Yes.
I like the one by the roadside, but I would like to try. I haven't had one that is done. The Hausa cocoa.
Yeah, my friend Akosa, he likes that one too, with Kose.
Oh, that's Professor Akosa?
Yes.
Okay. You like the one by the roadside with Kose?
With Kose, yes.
How do you like yours, with Kose or with bread?
No, I don't take bread. That's what I'm saying. It's a very special thing that my wife gives me, the cocoa with some seeds, almond, 3-4 different kinds of seeds, and some honey, no milk, and then I do justice to it.
You should invite me, because I would love to have it.
Thank you, Evans.
I'll come for that. I mean, and I know a lot of your colleagues now are running to become president of, lead the party in elections. Many was expecting that maybe you would throw your hat in the race as well.
No,
You've retired from that.
No, not that I've retired. You see, I want a good Ghana. So whoever wants to be to lead this country should know what has to be done. Because personally, I have not seen the things. I'm not seen as doing the things that I think will put us on the path of sustainable growth and development. I've not seen them yet.
Isn't that why maybe you should seek to lead?
No, you don't have to lead, but if people will buy into your ideas and implement them and not say it's hearsay and personal opinion. Of course, these are my personal opinion and so on. But these are.
But you have your colleagues. You're those who have shown interest. Any of them meet the standards that you talked about?
Difficult.
No one.
If we work in a team, if they work in a team, we don't expect one person to know everything. But if you have somebody who will tap on the experience, the knowledge and skills of people in the society and really committed. Look, it all begins with the philosophy of the leader.
Okay.
For example, Lee Kuan Yew, when he became Prime Minister, said, when we assumed power, he said, we saw the greed and decadence in Asia, and we make it a point not to be part of it. So, first of all, I want somebody who will say, look, I don't want to be part of this greed and decadence and what they call family, friends, and things, government, and that kind of that. We want people who are committed to this nation. And then that's where it begins. But if we don't have this commitment to the people, the Americans did the same thing. 4th of July 1776, when they were signing their independence document in the State House of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, they said, in support of this declaration, we pledge our lives, our wealth, and our sacred honor. So if leaders will come together and say, look, we are pledging our lives, our wealth, and our sacred honor, so that America, to this document, so that America will prosper.
But surely there must be one person in the field of individuals seeking to lead your party to the next year's elections who at least comes close to these values.
Well, I'm just studying them. But
you haven't found one yet?
They have to come out and tell me how things are going to be different.
Are you saying that so far you haven't found one, you haven't had one who...
No, I don't want to say I haven't found one. Okay. They are there, good people, we're just studying them. And then I'm not emotional about anything, support people because he comes from my area or this. I want to support somebody who will say, I'm fed up with the greed and decadence in Asia, as Lee Kuan Yew said.
So you haven't heard anybody say that yet?
Listen to me, and then the American said, I'll pledge my life, my wealth, and sacred honor for the prosperity of this country. Because the poverty is crushing. People don't see their future in this country. you don't see any plan that you work towards. I mean, for example, you. What do you see that will convince you that if you do this, you will be contributing towards the growth of this nation or development? That Ghanaians must see that, so that when we are working, we are working with our whole heart for the good of this nation.
It's been a great 1 hour 30 minutes with you, and wish you all the best as you continue to serve this country, you said, and of course in your issues with the special prosecutor.
I don't have issues with special prosecutor. He invited me for a discussion.
Well, let's say, don't call it issues. It's your, the interactions.
Yes.
That you're having with the special prosecutor.
Yeah.
We hope it ends well.
Yes. I hope so too.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Professor Frimpong-Boateng. Yeah. That's Professor Frimpong-Boateng there, talking to us on the special edition of PM Express indeed. We talked about everything else, including he invited me over for a special cocoa dinner, and I'm looking forward to it indeed. Enjoy the rest of your evening.